Hello, and welcome back to the Live Carter podcast. I'm Mira, your AI-powered question asker and guide for this season. This season, we're looking at how AI is reshaping everything from course creation to institutional workflows. In today's episode, The Changing Landscape of Course Creation, we'll look at how AI has evolved in education, from early tools to today's generative models, and what that means for faculty, students, and institutions. Joining me is Richard Speakman, President of Live Carter, who brings unique insight into how these changes are reshaping higher education. Welcome, Richard. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're so interested in where we're headed as AI platforms emerge in the edtech space.
Well, my background is I've been a technologist for a better part of 30 years now. And as technology has shifted and changed, found myself in and working with a variety of different startup organizations, particularly in the edtech space, and one of those being Live Carter, which I'm currently the president. During this particular time, we're seeing huge advancements and change related to educators, students, and how they produce educational materials and how we can reduce the cost of those materials to students while maintaining very cost-effective delivery of those materials. And so at Live Carta, as we've been watching the space, and of course with the advent of AI and the release of AI to the public out in a few years ago, we're seeing educators just, really scramble to manage and focus on how they can navigate these changes and what it means for their particular profession and particular student learning. And for us, we have been looking at that very same question, as well as understanding new ways to connect educators to content that is of quality that they can then use to help them in the design of new courses or updating courses as content for those courses are constantly changing based on, you're in the legal profession, for instance, based on new Supreme Court rulings. These things come out all the time, and the traditional publishing process for content just doesn't meet the standard or the need of the moment. And so we've been looking at ways to drive AI and to build a series of tools for people to navigate these changing waters.
Let's start broad. How has AI in education evolved, from the early tools we saw years ago to the generative AI models we're seeing today?
That's a really great place to start. If you look back, the first wave of AI in education wasn't really what we'd call intelligent by today's standards. We had adaptive learning platforms like Alex or Newton and early intelligent tutoring systems that used rules-based logic. They could track student progress and adjust the difficulty of questions, but they weren't truly understanding content, just reacting based on preset algorithms and data patterns. It was personalized learning per se, but in a very structured and limited way. Then we sort of had a second wave of where machine learning entered the picture. AI started being used for predictive analytics, identifying students at risk of dropping out, grading short answer responses, and automating some of the administrative load for teachers. AI was becoming more of an assistant in the background than a teacher itself. And now what we're seeing with generative AI models, things like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, is a third wave, and it's fundamentally different. These models don't just react, they create. They can generate lesson plans, simulate conversations in foreign languages, provide instant feedback on essays, or even role play as historical figures for immersive learning. Of course, this brings new challenges, things like bias, academic integrity, and the need for strong digital literacy. but it's also opening the door for truly personalized, creative, and collaborative education. And the best part is, we're not replacing teachers, we're amplifying them. The teacher becomes more of a guide and a curator of knowledge, while AI takes on the heavy lifting of content generation and feedback.
We've seen big developments lately: ChatGPT EDU, AI in Canvas, and Google's billion-dollar AI investment. Which of these do you see as real turning points for higher education?
That's really an interesting question, because the AI space in higher education is in a real renaissance right now. Each of the items that you mentioned there, ChatGPT EDU, AI in Canvas, and Google's recent huge investment, they all play a different role. But if I had to pick a true turning point, I'd say it's the integration of AI directly into learning ecosystems like Canvas or Blackboard. And here's why. For years, AI tools have existed outside the classroom. Students would open a separate app, use a chatbot, or try out an AI writing assistant. But with systems like Canvas and Blackboard starting to embed AI directly into the platform, that's when it stops being an add on and starts becoming infrastructure. When AI is built right into the environment where teaching and learning already happen, that's when adoption really scales. Now, ChatGPT EDU is also pretty big. It's OpenAI's signal that AI can be ethically built and secured for education, not just adapted to it. Universities have been hesitant about privacy, data use, and academic honesty, and ChatGPT EDU versions of these local tools are starting to address those concerns head on. And that's the bridge between innovation and trust. And then, of course, you have Google's billion-dollar investment, which is a statement in the AI arms race that it's going mainstream. And that tells us the big players see education as one of the frontier markets for AI transformation. That funding will likely accelerate research, partnerships, and tools that blend AI with everything from student advising to institutional analytics.
How are professors and instructors actually using generative AI today in their teaching and course design?
Course content and design certainly are the area where we see the most adoption. A lot of instructors are using AI to help draft syllabi, generate quiz questions, or even design simulations and case studies. Instead of spending hours building materials from scratch, they're using AI as a brainstorming partner, something that gets them from a blank page to a workable draft in a few minutes. It's not doing the teaching for them, but it's speeding up the creative process so they can focus their time on higher level design and personalization. And that's where Live Carta comes in. At Live Carta, we built a curriculum builder that takes the concepts that you need to teach in a course and then turns those concepts into modularized lesson plans along with suggested content from chapters of both commercial and non-commercial trusted educational resources, further cutting your time to find quality educational material and associate it and personalize it for your students. We additionally have some tools built into the platform that allow AI generated questions based on chapter content that authors of scholastic material can utilize and help quickly generate. Further, we're soon to be releasing flashcard capabilities where a student or a faculty member can generate flashcards from content that they've selected utilizing the curriculum builder. I think the next area where AI is expanding in higher education certainly is along the lines of student support and feedback. Professors are using tools like ChatGPT EDU to generate quick examples and explain concepts in different ways to struggling students, or provide formative feedback on student writing. It's like having a teaching assistant available 24/7 to help students get unstuck, especially in large classes where personal feedback is hard to scale. Third, I think that teaching AI literacy itself is a big thing. Many faculty are now integrating generative AI into their assignments, asking students to analyze AI outputs, critique bias, or compare their own work to what a model produces. So it's not just about using AI for education, but using it as part of the education itself. And that's a big leap forward toward preparing students for a future where AI is part of every profession. And lastly, there's a growing group of instructors experimenting with interactive learning experiences, things like AI driven role plays. I've personally seen one where George Washington asks questions or answers questions about the founding of the country, and that's sourced on a large language model trained on the original founding documents and record. There are virtual debates or historical dialogues that are powered by large language models. It's still in the early days, but the horizon is looking rich for people that are creative and experimenting with new ways of learning.
What best practices are emerging for faculty to adopt AI without losing control or compromising academic quality?
Well, the excitement around AI really has to be matched with intentional and responsible use. And what we're seeing right now are some clear best practices that let faculty leverage AI without losing control of their classrooms or the integrity of their teaching. I think the first thing that's really important is this notion of being transparent. So the most successful instructors are being open with students about when and how they use AI, whether it's to design materials or generate examples or support feedback. And that transparency is key because it builds trust and helps with educating students on a good quality use of AI to help with being a co-author for design, but not being the final submission of work. So it opens the door up for great conversations about academic integrity and authorship. Faculty are certainly using AI to draft or brainstorm or analyze work, but they're always maintaining being the final author. This is really important because it's really key to treat AI like a teaching assistant, helpful but not autonomous. You still review, refine, and align everything it produces to your learning goals and disciplinary standards. Instead of banning AI, faculty are learning how to use it critically and showing students how to fact check, prompt effectively, and evaluate bias. And that's really important. We also see that one of the most striking trends is the rise of these of so-called AI champions among professors. And you can see this in platforms like OpenAI Academy, where professors are posting or sharing how they are using AI online with other professors. And so these posts can become reference points for what's considered best practice, sometimes faster than traditional hierarchies or university policies can respond. So influence is shifting in a really new way. And platforms like OpenAI Academy are becoming hubs where faculty share experiments, test approaches, and learn from each other. With that speed, of course, comes questions about credibility, bias, and quality. From a thought leadership perspective, it's really fascinating to watch how authority and influence are evolving in academia. AI isn't just a tool anymore, it's reshaping the way knowledge circulates and how teaching and learning is conducted.
Of course, ethical questions are front and center. How should higher ed leaders be thinking about issues like bias, transparency, and academic integrity in AI adoption?
Well, I think what we're seeing is that universities, as well as partnering with AI professionals or industry professionals, are developing their own guidelines for how to manage, these types of things. And organizations should. Uh, Bias is a challenge, and the real solution to bias at the moment is really human intervention within and how you utilize the AI tools and being able to think critically, as well as trusting the source if you know that of how the particular AI tool you're utilizing was trained. Transparency is very, very important because it builds up trust in how both students and faculty engage with a variety of different AI tools. Um, any type of policies that are developed should be explainable, accessible to all, and appropriately disclosed. Transparency isn't just about complying with a policy, it's about maintaining trust in the learning environment. And that's super important. And that goes right to the next point of, academic integrity. In short, I think that leaders should approach, ethics not as a set of restrictions, but as a framework for empowering both faculty and students. If we prioritize bias awareness, transparency, and integrity from the start, AI becomes not a risk that we need to control, but a resource that we can responsibly and confidently use. And I think that's been our approach at Live Carta. The AI tools that we built, for instance, like our curriculum builder, are built and trained utilizing the trusted sources from our publishers, both OER as well as commercial products. So a professor who goes there with ideas and asking for help in building a curriculum can find trusted materials that have been proven and vetted, and be assured that they can get connected to quality content to help them build their course.
If you had to predict, how do you see AI changing the role of educators, instructional designers, and even edtech platforms in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, that's a big question. We're certainly witnessing before us right now the a major technology shift in the workforce and in society in general. We're watching in real time transitioning from the buggy whip to the automobile, and but we're doing that in the blink of an eye as opposed to over a decade or two. So that's a really fascinating point to be at. AI isn't just another tool. It's forcing higher education to think about how value is created and delivered. How do universities, continue to educate, and what is their role of educating students in this new environment? And I think what we've seen, we've gone very quickly over the course of a couple of years. We've gone from where AI is, being monitored and how students might be using it to cheat, or how it might empower them to short circuit learning, to now embracing it and incorporating it into our educational instruction, because we have to prepare students now for a future where AI is going to be present. I think we will see, educators move from being content deliverers into being curators and interpreters and mentors. And they will no longer be focused on the routines of finding materials and generating examples. The AI and education variety of different tools will take care of that, which will free up the educator to focus on guiding deeper thinking, building relationships, fostering creativity, fostering creative thinking, and helping students navigate kind of the ambiguity that can be presented there on given subjects. So they become the knowledge experts and almost like guides and the voice of reason to lead students through the materials and the experiences that they might find in learning a particular subject. I think that we'll see digital platforms like Live Carta are helping to make things like that possible by connecting users to content, by helping instructional designers and finding quality content to utilize within courses, and by connecting to AI driven insights that are trusted and authorities of content. So that goes back to the ethical and academic integrity components. But still, educators, I think, will have to shift into that to almost being learning architects. But let's all be honest. Anyone who claims to know exactly how this plays out over the next few years is probably overstating it. What we can say is that AI's influence on higher education will only grow, and that institutions that learn in thoughtful ways will be the ones that are shaping the future.
This has been such an insightful interview, Richard. Thank you for sharing your perspective on AI's growing role in higher education. If today's episode sparked ideas for your institution or publishing organization, we'd love to continue the discussion. You can learn more about Live Carter's solutions at livecarter.com or reach out to us directly at sales@livecarter.com. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming episodes, where we'll keep exploring how technology is shaping the future of teaching and learning.